minutes and then go from there.
Brittany Young's club has to avoid turnovers. 29 giveaways last Thursday, their previous game against Gardner-Webb.
Yeah, you're not going to pull an upset if you're giving the ball away. You're not going to win at home if you're giving the ball away either. So for any team, cut the turnovers away. Give yourself the opportunity to compete.
Governors and Blue Devils, always a unique matchup of mascots here tonight. We welcome you inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke will start with the ball first. A tremendous offensive output on Sunday, now averaging 72 points a game. That's 5th in the ACC.
It's got to feel good when you're a head coach, Kara Lawson, and she tells you, offense isn't quite where we want it so far, but you're averaging over 70 and you've hit the century mark twice already.
And how about the adjustment from this Duke team? 11 players scored on Sunday. It's balanced scoring after that turnover from Balogun.
I think you expect as the season goes on that rotation will shrink for Kara Lawson, but while you're figuring it all out, you got to try different combinations to see who plays best together.
Austin Peay starting 5 versus Mariah Adams, the point guard right here. Johnson's the big swing threat. Here's a turnover. Balogun into open space, and that's too easy.
The problem with the pass there from Adams is she picks up the dribble. She's in space. Just got to get closer. Got to have more communication with your teammates as well there.
And
great defense from Duke.
Forced. So we'll take a media early into this first quarter. We noted Austin Peay avoiding turnovers. Duke's taking advantage in this first quarter.
Everyone is ready for Monday Night Football.
That's what we do. What we do.
Because it's time to buckle up for the stretch run.
Hey, Bill, this championship time.
Can Jones and the Pats get back on track?
We're going to answer the call every time, dog.
Or will Murray and the Cards swoop in with a win?
We'll show them, man. We'll show them, man.
The Patriots take on the Cardinals.
Chicken.
Kara Lawson's program forces 19 turnovers a game, and they've held teams. Kara Lawson's program forces 19 turnovers a game, and they've held teams early this year to low point totals.
It would be a lot lower. The only game really that got out of hand and away from them was that loss to UConn where they gave up 78. But Duke, when you go against teams in conference play, you have to be able to slow the offense. One of the ways you do it, press them. If they have less time once they get across half court, now offenses are going to be rushed.
Kara Lawson noted for this matchup, we have to get Austin Peay out of rhythm. As Balogun gets her own board, that's a nice putback. How about the effort on the glass for Balogun?
You got the size difference down there. You got to take advantage of it. And it's not just in the flow of game, but also those second chance opportunities.
A foul here brings it right back for Austin Peay. Last time these teams met, the NCAA tournament, 2009. Balogun's having a tournament performance with the and one.
Just smart basketball there. You put a big on the inbound, make it tough just to even get the ball in. You can see trying to get some separation there. Adams a couple of steps back from the baseline. Still doesn't help out, though.
So the steal and the bucket. Now the free throw to complete the cupcake. How can Austin Peay break this pressure? Adams looks to throw it in, and immediately a double team. Remember, 29 turnovers for the Governors last Thursday. That's a nice pass. Unable to hit the three, however, and a foul. Yamaya Johnson missed the three, and a reach-in on Gabby Smalls.
Even though you missed the three, for Austin Peay, that's one they're going to look back on, and you broke the press, and you quickly found the open shooter. That's what you want. That's the look you want. Obviously, the result isn't there, though.
Here's Kara Lawson starting 5. Very familiar. Cheyenne Day Wilson has developed into an excellent guard, and Kennedy Brown at 6'6", such a matchup nightmare down low. Kara Lawson noted that Brown is always in the right spot. You never have to coach her about where to be. There's a steal for Adams. We call her Snoop. La-di-da-di-da. Can she operate this offense?
Not a lot of movement here from Austin Peay.
Adams is trapped. Austin Peay averages 58 a night. It's Johnson's heavy of it, 15 for her.
Too much dribbling, Evan. No screens being set, nobody helping each other to get open.
This is off in time and a bit short. So Nelson forced it up. Here's Duke in transition. Nice outlet pass to Taylor. Good job to slow that down.
It was a really good decision. That pass was just a little bit in front of her, led her almost out of bounds. Go ahead, just get it back out. You got a clock to work with.
So much position for Brown, and she's fouled.
You can see what Duke is trying to do. It's get the ball down low. They're moving the ball around, trying to get the matchup they want. Here's a look at that fast break from Duke. Good job. The ball never touches the court, and that's what a coach is going to want to look for. Just a little bit off on that last pass, though.
That's a coach's dream, though. No dribble, and the ball goes all the way across the court. As it'll stay here with Duke.
You run drills in practice to do that. It's not very often in the game that you see it, though.
You run the three-man weave against air, and you say, hey, ladies, this is how we do it in the game. And then when you run it in the real game, it certainly pays off.
I'll tell you, when it happens in a real game as a player, you're like, oh, that was good. I like that. It felt nice.
Duke averages 17 assists a night. Iowa was the best team in the country last year, dishing the rock. As fittingly, Duke commits a turnover. Broadcaster's jinx is alive and well.
Got herself too deep trying to kick out, but just too much air there. You got off a little bit on the communication. One player goes another way. Instead, put the pivot foot, come back out to the top yourself.
For sub for Duke, Ashlyn Jackson comes in, the true freshman. She had 12 points, part of a bevy of double-figure scorers on Sunday. Austin Peay still searching for a good bucket to start this night, and the turnover won't help. Here's Jackson, first touch of the night. Misses on the three. And a steal. Duke takes it right back. Even the puppy likes it in the second row.
Gotta have a little communication there. Richardson comes away with it, but two white jerseys around her, and nobody on her team told her.
Duke is shooting 3 of 5, pretty efficient, but the turnovers early could be a woe for Kara Lawson's club. 3 giveaways.
Yeah, that's just they're off on their timing. You could see coming through the middle there, they're looking to get it to Brown. Just got clipped a little bit by the defender, and that's how the ball goes out of bounds. Those are the things we talk about in the beginning where you're working on fixing them before you get into conference play.
Because Virginia coming up, and even Florida Gulf Coast this weekend, an elite program in the ASUN. Those are two teams you cannot take lightly.
And you're on the road for that Florida Gulf game. That's not going to be easy not being at home.
Think of Duke in the net rankings, top 20. They've played good opponents. They've risen to the occasion. And they play well tonight. Brown, another block. Brown is a difference maker downstairs.
A lot of one-on-one play. Good ball fake, but 4 white jerseys around. You lose 2 of them. There's still 2 more there for the block.
Kennedy Brown averages 1 block per night. She accomplishes that in 4 minutes. Good blow by, and Brown again with the tip.
So is that the reverse broadcaster's jinx?
I guess that's the good luck jinx. I was a lucky 13 guy myself. I wore the jersey to help out my own game. Balogun with a rare miss tonight. Let's see if Austin Peay can get on the board. Jada Roberson walks it up the court. And we have an offensive foul fighting for post position. It's the first on Ashley Curvin.
Curvin trying to get deep, a spot where she can get the ball and make something happen, and a little bit too aggressive. Nice job by Brown of also having the position there.
Curvin was really good in her last effort. 8 points and 8 rebounds in her season debut and battled an injury in the first month. It's a good sign for Austin Peay down low. Now she has to guard the 6'6" Kennedy Brown. Good luck. Talk about a tough final exam as Brown banks it in.
She did all she could there. Brown just had the positioning. A veteran player knew what move to make, too.
Kennedy Brown on the elite Lisa Leslie Award watch list. We know how good Lisa was as a WNBA star and a collegiate standout.
Good communication here from Duke on the switches. Really great job defensively there.
Nice pass. Balogun can't hit the lay-in. What an effort to save it, but to the wrong team. And now a steal. Helter-skelter for Gibbs. And if you're Brittany Young, head coach Austin Peay, hey, take a deep breath. Let's slow this game down for the Governors.
Still haven't gotten a bucket in this game. Got to get into an offensive set, run something. Duke's defense has disrupted everything they've tried to do.
A hand-checking foul on Duke here. And Kennedy Brown is becoming a difference maker for the Blue Devils.
She is, and watch how she gets this ball. And again, we talked about the three-man weave. Ball never touches the ground. She keeps it high, keeps it close to the body, makes the move she knows away from the defender. Got her on the hip. Go to that right hand, finish off the glass. Textbook.
So as Kennedy Brown heads to the bench, she has become a big-time transfer from Oregon State. You note the numbers last year, very productive, but this year will average 25, 30 minutes and really be key to Duke in conference play.
It's really interesting the last couple of years how quickly, especially in basketball, you can reform an entire roster, not just by adding a player, but you hit that transfer portal and you can get a couple of veteran players that already know how to play and plug them in right away.
Austin Peay yet to hit a bucket. They have 10 new transfers. Duke has 5 new faces, so a lot of players via the portal.
There's some similarity. A nice entry pass right there. Really good job of shielding the defender as well.
But to your point, you can revamp a roster right away and win from day one.
Yeah, from day one. It's because you can go get veteran players that you don't have to have the freshmen that you have to come in and teach them the game and get them caught up to the speed of the game from high school. They've already done that. So it's just picking players you can plug into your system. And what I was saying, though, is there's some similarities between the two teams. Two coaches that are pretty young, trying to fill up the roster and build the program in their vision.
Now, this is like a coloring board. All the different options, Old Dominion, Wright State, Jacksonville State, South Alabama. A lot of new faces for Brittany Young. She'll start 4 of those transfers right away with Yamiah Johnson.
It's interesting to me that a couple of them have come from the same school, so you have some teammates. It's going to help chemistry-wise.
30-second timeout here on the court for Brittany Young. Another 3, though, for Ashlyn Jackson. And what a start for Duke. Carol Lawson noted, hey, our defense is playing ahead of our offense. But now all of a sudden tonight, the offense is picking up, minus the turnover.
I still think the defense is ahead. They haven't given up a point yet. But you're right, though. They've got a game plan, and it's to try and get the ball inside. And if the defense collapses, go ahead and kick it out for the open 3. And when you knock those down like they did the last game against Richmond, that's how that offense can start clicking.
That was the first 3 for Duke. Jackson hit the triple. Keep in mind, Duke only shoots 26% from 3. That is not their strength. They're not Florida Gulf Coast shooting 30 3-pointers a night. They want to work it in to out.
Yeah, they're going to play down in the paint. They're going to bang around with you, and they're going to hope they win the rebounding margin and the second chance points. Right now, 8 points in the paint already for the Blue Devils. In the modern game where everybody wants to jack up threes all over the place, it's a little bit of the old school style from Kara Lawson.
Reminds me of words of Wes Moore at NC State. 4 guards, but work it in the post as well. These two teams will look to make great success in February and March come ACC conference time.
You know, I think you can absolutely have success with the traditional, quote-unquote, 5-man rotation out on the court. But the 5 that you have has got to be able to step out and defend. That's where, if you're going to play with the traditional post player, you have to have somebody who's got the ability to guard out on the perimeter.
Duke goes to the bench. Lee Volker enters at that guard position. And down low, Mia Heidi checks in, 42 in the white. Certainly helps when you bring out 6'6". You bring in 6'3" and a block. Heidi gets the rejection.
Austin Peay just completely unconnected there. The dribble was picked up as a second screen came around. She waved her off to go to the basket, but by then the defense able to come around, help on the weak side.
And Kara Lawson noted this week, with all these new transfers, communication on defense is developing. We're seeing that tonight.
It's huge. Communication on defense is the biggest thing. And I think the best way for coaches to be able to make that kind of happen and force the issue is to make it happen off the court. If everybody's comfortable talking, they're going to naturally talk in the game.
Now Duke operating in its offense, up 12. You're right, we've buried the lead. Duke's pitched a shutout through the first 6 minutes. Day Wilson putting on a dribbling display, swings it out. And an open jumper knocked down Jordan Oliver.
She called for the screen because she wanted to take it herself. It was shut down, so she found the open player. Really nice job right there.
And Duke guards you 94 feet. They'll make you earn it defensively. Austin Peay yet to hit a bucket tonight. Chance to change it here. And that rolls out. Good offensive board for Curvin, who gives it away. Day Wilson with all the numbers in the world. Looks to get a little creative with that pass. And an illegal screen. That's a turnover for the Blue Devils. Sort of notice here with that second unit trying to find their rhythm offensively.
You'd like to see Jackson come to that screen, cut it a little bit closer.
So one area Duke has really succeeded. Vanessa DeJesus, and she was excellent. 17 points on Sunday. Coach Carol Austin said it was a matter of time for DeJesus. The shots would fall and her game continues to grow.
Everybody develops at their own pace, but part of that is how much work you're going to put in. And she's a player that has put in a ton of work, and you start seeing the results finally pay off. And you're like, okay, I'm going to put up more shots now. This is working.
Yeah, on social media, Carol Lawson noted after practice, her effort on the court, not the game court, the practice court the last 3 days has led to her success.
Confidence. It is such a big thing for players at this age. They start seeing the ball go in the bucket, not just in practice, but in the game, and all of a sudden things start to roll for them.
There's a loose scrum in the lane. And what an effort. It's with a foul here, I believe, on Duke. Yep, a reach-in foul. Lee Volker a little aggressive there, trying to keep the ball alive.
For as well as everything for Duke has gone here in this first quarter, the turnovers have been a little bit problematic.
Wow, 19 combined turnovers in this first quarter. That being said, Duke continues to pitch a shutout. Austin Peay has lost 2 straight. Offense has averaged about 60 points in those games. They'll need to find a bucket here. Johnson wants to drive, spins, heaves one up, and that doesn't go.
Duke playing such good team defense that it's forcing Austin Peay deep into the shot clock, and then they have to force up something that isn't a shot that they're looking for.
And defending Yamaya Johnson, that's a tough task. She's played 120 games in her tenure, multiple-time all-conference, which is neat. She's all-conference in the ASUN and the OVC.
Yeah, not a player that's new to the game. She understands how to score and where she's supposed to be and what she's supposed to do.
Johnson scored 17 last Thursday in an Education Day game. Those will wake you up in the morning. A couple thousand kids screaming and yelling your name.
Never had one of those field days when I was a kid. How come my schools didn't get to go to a basketball game?
Well, I was going to say, with you as a father, you have Education Day every morning.
Every day. It's always Education Day.
Alongside Kyle Straub, I'm Evan Budrovich. Duke is pressing the lights out in this building, making it tough on Austin Peay. Here comes the trap. Just over the timeline.
Good job not panicking. I feel like Austin Peay, since they took that time out like a minute into the game, they've done a better job of getting the ball inbounds and then handling the press.
Clock down to 7. Gibbs kicks it out. There's Glenn. Caden looks for help. Now Roberson dribbles out the clock. Another excellent possession for Duke defensively.
Yeah, got to tip your cap to Duke, but also a bit of an issue that I have with Austin Peay right now is they've got 5 players standing around the 3-point circle, and nobody is cutting. There's very minimal screens.
Meanwhile, Duke is looking to avoid more turnovers. 8 giveaways in this first quarter. Oliver, excellent passer, finds a shooter. Unable to hit. Her assist to turnover ratio, though, 8-1 in the last 3 weeks. It's been incredible for Oliver. Johnson's the go-to scorer for Austin Peay. She's trying to shake Kennedy Brown. That's a tough task. Final minute of this first quarter.
Everything is off the dribble, trying to find a way to beat their defender. Duke just too athletic, staying in front of everybody.
Nearly the first bucket of the opening quarter for Austin Peay. This would be Duke's first goose egg in a quarter, at least in the first quarter this year. As our producer Matt Krause reminds, that'd be in program history for Duke.
Second game in a row of setting records. It was offensive last game, defensive today.
There's a good offensive look. Volker the jumper. Couldn't have drawn it up any better if you're Carol Lawson. 18-0 start, and the offense is shooting 58%. Final 10 seconds. Can Duke pitch the shutout in 10 minutes? Here's Gibbs. That's a tough look. And free throws for the Governors. This will be important for a psychological standpoint if you're Austin Peay.
100%. You don't want to have to go 10 minutes worth of playing and not have a single point to show for it. And I felt like that was easily their best offensive possession there. Little stack underneath the basket. Johnson came out, put the screen up high, and able to create a little separation to at least get a shot off.
Liz Gibbs, 61% from the line. Oh, wow. Duke women's basketball program history. This is a historic program. Never pitched a shutout in a quarter. Let's see if Liz Gibbs can close out this first. Oh my goodness. Last chance for the Blue Devils. That is off in time. And a convincing start, 18-0. Fueled by Duke's defense, leading to easy offense.
Yeah, Duke right out of the gate went with that full court press, caused all sorts of problems for Austin Peay, a couple of easy buckets, and then the offense started really getting into a rhythm. Nice passing from the Blue Devils to find the open shooter.
Duke up.
The problems just getting the ball inbounded, and then once they finally started to figure that out and they got into the half-court sets, well, the bigs for Duke stepped up. 3 blocks, 7 steals, and they forced 12 turnovers in the first quarter.
And if you're just joining us, that's the first time ever in Duke women's basketball history, a shutout in a single quarter. Austin Peay, though, open look to start the second. Wow, the rims are unkind here in Durham.
Somebody checked to make sure they didn't put some plastic wrap over the top of it or something.
Liz Gibbs had a beautiful look. It just could not fall. It has to be frustrating as a player.
There was good ball movement from Austin Peay, something we really didn't see much of in the first quarter.
And Brittany Young's club, they were excellent last year. 20-13 in the OVC. Made it to the semifinals. Now in the A-Sun, new digs with Florida Gulf Coast and Liberty, 2 of the best. DeJesus can't hit the 3. Balogun is having a field day in the post. She wanted the foul, and her wish is granted.
Able to get the offensive rebound, mismatched against Vaught down there. Late double team came over, and when you're coming over as a help side defender, you got to try and stay straight up and down. Easy for a ref to call the reach-in foul.
This is Duke's 4th and 5th free throw attempts of the night. They have been efficient, 54% from the field, and a rare miss from the line. This Duke Blue Devil program, the net rankings just released this week, the opening rankings, and Duke is among some of the best in the country, top 20 in net, which has a large say in your NCAA tournament seeding if this progresses throughout the year.
And look at all of those ACC teams and how high they are. You're not going to have a problem having a resume to get yourself in, but with the non-conference that Kara Lawson and this team has put together, they go and have a good ACC schedule and put together a nice season. They're going to find themselves in a very favorable position for a top 4 ranking.
That comes with hosting privileges as well. And Duke, certainly, they want to be among the best in the ACC. 4 ranked teams in the top 10 right now. So there's no easy stretch in the conference.
And Louisville, by the way, who we'll get to a little bit later, picked to win this year, unranked right now. Don't sleep on them either. So 4 ranked teams, more to come. I think 3/4 of the ACC is good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. They're not going to get that many in.
And there we go. The first bucket for Yamaya Johnson in transition.
They didn't allow Duke to get set up. That's the difference.
Duke with that fantastic defensive start. Their numbers for Kara Lawson from last year to this year defensively, what a big jump. And I know it's a handful of games in, but that's a good sign in the final week of non-conference. Think about the latest bracketology from Charlie Cream. 8 out of the ACC projected in, and that's with Louisville as the last 4 out. That could change in a minute.
How quickly things can change. You go from pick to win the ACC to not even a month in, and you're not even projected into the NCAA tournament. A lot of time for that to change, though.
There have been 2 conference games so far. Everyone else is on an even playing field. But come next week, when conference play begins after finals and you dig into that big stretch, this is a fun time in the conference.
It's a fun time in this area, too. because two of those teams that are ranked actually tied for 8th.
I need to talk to some AP voters. The tie, come on, we're 4 weeks into the season. Let's split the ties, can we?
First time I saw it, I had the same thought, but then I also was like, you know what? They've got 2 meetings on the hardwood. They'll figure out who's 8, who's 9.
And don't sleep on Virginia Tech, the best scoring defense in the country. Elizabeth Kitley and crew, that's a really good program. Nice slip by DeJesus for the lay-in.
Gave her the praise about the shooting and the work that she's put in off the court for that. What a pass.
Carol Lawson noted our defense is ahead of our offense. Well, the passing from Duke tonight has certainly stepped up.
For the offense to start to click, passing is where it comes. We've seen a lot of one-on-one play from Austin Peay. It worked for them there. Adams able to get the bucket from the elbow. But more times than not, you see a lot of people standing around.
In this second quarter, a much better offensive performance. DeJesus tries it again, and a jump ball will keep possession here. What a beautiful passing display from DeJesus.
Really is, just slipping that ball in on the screen. Eyes in the back of your head. Know where your teammates are. Didn't have to look at her because you saw the glance just before the pass. Right there.
She passed into space, too. That is beautiful. That's like me at Thanksgiving. Pass the stuffing, pass the turkey around. Certainly enjoy some good handwork. Another offensive board for Duke. They are living on second chance points.
They've been the more aggressive team. They want the loose balls. Another nice pass.
Although a missed layup, Austin Peay collapsing defensively.
Great use of the bounce pass down in space.
That's a lost art, the bounce pass. Good spin. Brown affected the shot from Smalls.
Taylor got a hand in there helping as well.
A lot of open shooters. Brown gets a shot, knocks it in. So Duke is at 48, almost 50% shooting. Right around their season average, 45%. Really, though, it's this end of the court that's been impressive. 14 turnovers forced.
You know, a game like this, I think Carol Lawson will look at the offensive side of things and they'll talk about what was good, what wasn't. But every game, you're looking at the defense because you're going to have offensive games where you're not hitting shots. But the defense can be there, though.
And with opponents Florida, Gulf Coast, Virginia, and NC State all in the top 50 in the country in scoring, that'll be tested the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Hey, look, we just put up the first 0 in school history. Can you do that against one of these next 3 opponents, though?
Because you're right, conference play comes right away. Louisville, NC State, Virginia, who's 10-0.
I was going to say, to have Virginia be the first team that you have to play in the ACC and they're undefeated still on the season, just go ahead and throw them right in.
That is a rigorous first 3, and then at Wake Forest to start the month. Good offensive board. Taylor literally threw up a prayer and a foul here on Duke.
Yeah, but even though those first 3 games are so tough for Duke, there's really no spot in the ACC schedule where you can take a break and say, all right, we've got a couple of easier games this week. We can kind of set back. If you don't bring it every single night, you're going to go home with an L, or the other team is coming into your place and stealing a W.
There's a good layup in transition. Reigan Richardson, the Georgia transfer. Those 2 conferences are getting ready for an SEC-ACC battle next year, which will be really neat. The Big Ten dropping its rivalry series after this last fall. Duke, of course, beat Northwestern in that matchup. That was a great academic battle. I could see the conference going, we want the 2 smart schools to play each other. As Vanderbilt's the team on the schedule. So think about that. You go from Northwestern elite institution to Nashville. Vanderbilt, a great program academically, too.
It's going to be fun. The ACC Big Ten Challenge was a great thing to look forward to every single year, but I think it got a little bit stale. Switching and going with the SEC.
Whoa, how about that finish?
Transition, yeah. But I think switching and going with the ACC, SEC, going to give fans, as well as the players, just some different matchups.
It's already penciled in the schedule every year. You have this non-conference series. And Carol Austin said, well, we just sub out one, we sub in the other, and we look forward to the home and road and who we play. We'll take a media timeout here. Duke's defense leading to more offense. A shutout in the first quarter and a pretty good start through 2. Kids just being kids. They love college basketball. Love having some fun tonight. Look at that.
Store this in the memory bank when my daughter gets old enough. Bring her to a game. Let her run around and tire herself out.
The earplugs are a great moment there, too. By the way, Jordan Oliver having an elite start passing the ball, 8-1 assist to turnover. That's incredible.
We talked about the transfers and how you can get a player and plug them in right away. Well, her first 2 years at Baylor helped them get to an Elite Eight, a couple of Big 12 championships. Last year, unfortunately, not able to play, though, for Kara Lawson, tore the ACL.
It's been 20 months since she's played organized basketball. And Kara Lawson said that development of her passing, that's so impressive because you haven't played in a year and a half to come right back in and dish the rock.
And it's unfortunate she wasn't able to get on the court last year, but that year off, you're still around practice, around the team, know the system, know what the coach wants, and you kind of become a coach on the bench. And then you have your point guard having that mentality, that perspective. It's really paid off for her. And I don't think she's even playing her best yet. She's probably not back to 100.
Right now leads the ACC in assist to turnover ratio. There's an open shot in transition. Austin Peay's got to get more organized defensively. A lot of open looks for Duke. Which I guess on one hand, do you defend Duke's 11 triples from Sunday, or do you defend Duke's 6-foot size in the paint? Wow, look at this tussle for the boards. Leads to a second chance, and that's a gift for Lee Volkman.
Second chance points, not huge in Duke's favor. That's just their 4th and 5th. But the offensive rebounds starting to pile up for them. They've got 7 now.
6 different players to score for Kara Lawson's club tonight. She had 12 score on Sunday. That's the balance that Coach Lawson's looking for.
You know, it's great to have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players who can score, but eventually that roster, that rotation gets pared down. But having games where you can get that many players in and have significant time, that's huge early in a season.
Oliver continues to dish the rock. 5 assists tonight. Didn't lead to a 3 there, but she's among the best in the ACC at moving the basketball.
Best in the country at moving the ball, and that is huge as this team continues to grow and meld together. To have a point guard who can distribute and know what to do with the ball, that is key number 1 to getting the offense going.
She's alongside all conference players, Diamond Johnson, Deja Kelly, so among that list already, and we're only a month into the year, as Austin Peay hits the 3. That's Caden Glenn on a nice pass. Who would have thought? Good passing leads to good shooting.
Fundamentals, right? Sometimes you just got to get back to fundamentals to get the ball in the hoop. Much better second here from Austin Peay after being held scoreless for the first 10, got 11.
It's the first triple of the night for Austin Peay.
Really nice backdoor cut there.
Yeah, drew the reach-in foul, too. On Jada Robertson.
Yeah, for Austin Peay, I talked about it a little bit when we came into this. You never want to come into a game and say, all right, we're not going to win. You never resign to that. But have the realization that you got a very big uphill climb if you're going to get that upset. So focus on the little things, getting better so that when you get to conference play, where it really matters, that's when you're going to hope it all pays off. And I think they'll look at this second quarter and absolutely have some things to build on. And
Brittany Young knows, playing in the Atlantic Sun Conference, Florida Gulf Coast is the best mid-major team in the country in the latest mid-major poll. Liberty is an excellent mid-major. So this Duke level of competition will gear you up so well for those two opponents.
It will. And the fact that Duke is actually playing one of their conference opponents next, it's kind of a way to be able to measure yourself without having actually played them.
I know coaches are naive to checking box scores, but you're right. That is perspective that's valuable early in the year. Duke is trapping all over the court. Ooh, behind the back pass, but I don't think Vaught found it.
With as many turnovers as Austin Peay has had already, can't get fancy. Got to make the smart, easy pass.
So this is Austin Peay's first year in the Atlantic Sun Conference. You travel all across the country in this league, but Liberty, an NIT team from a year ago. Florida Gulf Coast, a second-round team from last season. They beat Virginia Tech, so potent at the top.
Potent at the top, and when you're a newcomer, you got to prove yourself, and that's part of the reason that they're picked to finish ninth.
Queens and Bellarmine, the two new additions to the league, close out the rest of the conference. Queens just across the state in Charlotte, uptown Charlotte. So Brittany Young from Francis Marion, who played Queens for years and years at the Division II level, she knows the quality of competition.
Yeah, they may be new to D1, but that doesn't mean that it's a new program. You can look at a different North Carolina team App State in football. They moved to D1. It wasn't brand new players, just stepping up a level. They're still good.
Brittany Young with some excellent stops. Mississippi State up to the conference title berth, and then Old Dominion. Excellent trips her last 2 stops.
Especially Mississippi State, being at a Power 5 school, that's going to give her a lot of insight that she can then pass on to her players, especially when you come into games like this.
Another 10-second violation that has to frustrate Coach Young. So Duke has now forced 19 turnovers. That's their average on the year.
I saw Coach Young all the way out to the Coach K logo out there talking to her team. They're not setting screens to help get across half court. They're just dribbling right into the trap.
Jackson slips into the wrong color. There's Nelson. Let's see if Austin Peay can run some offense in transition. As a hand check foul on Heidi. That has been the one area. Transition and fast break points, big for Austin Peay.
It's because Duke hasn't been able to set up their defense. Just go ahead and get to the basket, get your shot off before those 5 can get set up and get in front of you.
Kara Lawson noted that's her biggest key for Duke tonight. Must defend the transition plays. A lot of bodies in one quadrant of the court. Jesus playing tight defense, so the clock hits 9.
I need to start passing the ball down low, even if it's not because you're going to get the shot off. Just giving Duke a different look. Try and draw Brown off, maybe get some help side defense, and then you find an open player.
Late foul on Ashlyn Jackson. That was with 1.8 on the shot clock. It is on the floor.
For as good as Duke has played defensively, that's one that Kara will have in the replay set up. And all right, look, this foul, we played defense for that long, 2 seconds before the shot clock goes up. That's not where you give up a foul.
So Kara Lawson's Blue Devils won by 51 on Sunday. And I asked her, well, what did you notice from the game that was negative? And she said, well, in the third quarter, we struggled for 5 minutes, gave up 17 points. Did not give up a single point the next 5 minutes. So she appreciated how her team made those adjustments. Yeah,
you're going to appreciate it, but as a coach, you want the consistency over the 10-minute period where you didn't have to have a bad 5 and then a good 5. Especially when you get to the postseason, Evan, that's when runs happen. And, man, games can change so quickly like that.
And think about in the ACC play, 8 tournament teams from a year ago. You cannot have 5, 6 tough minutes or you're going to be on the wrong side of some games.
Yeah, you go 5 minutes without scoring or stopping another team from scoring, you're going to find yourself down by double-digit points really quick.
DeJesus to the bucket. That's lovely.
You can just see the confidence she's playing with.
Yeah, she hits 17 points, a bunch of triples in her last game, and now driving the ball, kicking it out. Johnson has scored the first points of the night for Austin Peay. He runs into the trees and draws a foul on the floor. So that's the 5th team foul for Duke. Sorry, the 4th team foul. Got ahead of myself.
See if they try to attack the basket again. Can hold for 1 if you want.
Remember, Austin Peay went scoreless in the first quarter. They've come to life offensively in the second. There's Johnson wide open. Duke can get one last shot. DeJesus all the way to the bucket to end the half.
Love it. She looked up at the clock as she crossed half court, realized she had enough time. Defender soft off on her. I'm going to give it the finger roll to finish, which is what their offense is looking for. Has really just had a struggle of it tonight. So in the second half, what kind of adjustments can you make to find other ways to score?
Conference play begins January 2nd in the ASUN. That'll be against Queens. Duke gears up for conference play not too far away, the 21st, with 2 games before the start of the new year.
A problem that Austin Peay had in the first half, which immediately is starting here, is picking up the dribble. If you have nowhere to go, back out, but don't pick up the dribble where now the defense can swarm you and force a turnover like they just did.
Think about some of the best teams in the country. Ohio State forces 28 turnovers a game. This is the level of play Duke's at tonight defensively. which I get, it doesn't always translate from one to the next. But if you can play at this level defensively, it'll make your team really good come conference time.
And confident, because you know you're going to be in every single game, because you're not going to let another team completely run you out of the gym. Even if your offense is struggling, you're going to be able to control the other team.
Not to mention Duke's field goal defense, the 4th best in the country. So they're forcing mistakes. They're making it hard to make shots, and we're seeing it in this first and now into the second half.
I think the one thing I've seen tonight that they need to clean up is the turnovers, and they have. In the first half, they had 10 total. 7 of them came in the first quarter, just 3 in the second.
There's a nice banked-in shot. So this is the depth of the Blue Devils. Reigan Richardson. And Kara Lawson noted, we're going to play 13, 14 players. We want all of them to score. You'll see a whole bunch check in tonight.
And that depth is going to pay off. At some point, you're going to need a player that maybe didn't get a ton of minutes throughout the game, hasn't played a lot, and I'm talking conference play, maybe even postseason, but something happens, and you need somebody to step up.
And the bench scoring for Duke, nearly 30 for a night, which if you can somehow recreate this production, and this is what Kara Lawson wants, multiple players scoring, this makes Duke dangerous.
I mean, if you can get 20 a night from your bench, you're going to have a pretty good chance, because that means you've got multiple options. To have 34, that's a whole nother team they're running out there, essentially.
The bench has been productive tonight. 20 points in the early going. And an armbar foul here defensively on Anala Nelson. Wonder what goes through the mind of these young student athletes. Final exams begin next week for Duke. Difficult academic campus here, of course, in Durham.
To be a college athlete, student athlete, you've got to be really good at compartmentalizing and focus on the game when the game's going on and focus on schoolwork once you're done.
Balogun hits the layup. She's up to 10 points. First in double figures for Duke.
But I think that's something that college kids have to learn, right? You come in and, one, you're not used to being away from home, but now you've got all this pressure of school and a sport. You got to figure out how to balance life.
And with high academic standards, Kara Lawson wants her team to excel in the classroom, too. As that 3 rolls in, that's a big triple. Glenn needed it. Second 3 for Austin Peay.
I don't know that it was on purpose, but I like that she took a dribble, got her feet set, got a good base.
And Celeste Taylor, in the blink of an eye, gets a lay-in.
So, Kara told us, wanted to play transition, wanted to win that, but focusing on the defense. That's the first time I've seen Duke really get out and get a quick bucket off of one on the other end.
That defense has led to really good looks. Like you mentioned, here's a steal. Nice slip in, and Brown couldn't hit it. Richardson fought for the boards. And now Brown is called for the, jump ball. Interesting. It'll be Austin Peay possession.
I don't know that I would have called a jump ball if I was down there as the referee. It didn't look like she had possession at all.
Sometimes that tap of the ball, too, will lead to the jump ball. Brittany Young, who knows how to build a program. Her team won 26 games at Stetson 5 years ago. Rebuilt the Hatters. Now puts on the hat of the Governors.
Had a good season last year. And, she's going to go the route of the transfer portal. We showed that earlier. She's got a lot of transfers on this team.
10 new players via the portal.
And the tough part about that is you get players that are ready to go, but you just don't know how the chemistry is going to work from year to year.
Mariah Adams heard the band counting down the shot clock, and she fired that a little early. See the smile on her face. Historic Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke is 13 wins away from 1,000. They might accomplish that in February, maybe even early March. Things roll right in the conference. Kara Lawson, though, she's focused on this game right here. And then she said, how do we defend the three-pointer against Florida Gulf Coast, also in the ASUN, that can shoot as well as anybody? It's a nice play to Balogun.
It's a good warm-up for them, though, because it's a similar style offense in that they like to shoot the deep ball.
Brittany Young calls a timeout. We'll take the media here in the third quarter. Duke is up 30, playing good all-around basketball early in Durham. A little defense leads to some offense, and the Blue Devils are cooking. Duke remains up 30 in the final stretch before ACC conference play. 4 teams have already played, Kyle, but here they sit 1 week before everybody joins the party. And how about Louisville out of the top 25? Jeff Walsh's club, they're the preseason favorites.
So this just doesn't matter, right? I mean, that quickly, it just shows you how things can go off rails for a team. But I expect Louisville to get things back together, be among the better teams in the ACC. But you see Duke kind of there, the lower part of the top tier, I think, with players on the roster like Oliver, who didn't play last year but having a really good start to this season.
To give you perspective,
some teams.
Duke's projected as a 4 seed right now, in that 4-5 range. So you could host a round or two. And Virginia, who's undefeated at 10-0, didn't even make the top half of the bracket.
And that's the thing with the preseason, is you just never really know, and I think that's exemplified with the transfer portal. Don't know what teams are going to have, because it's not always the growth from one year to another. It's new players from different places.
Credit to what Coach Amaka Guaga-Hamilton has done, developing that Virginia program. Austin Peay late in the shot clock. Adams gets it off. This Duke defense has been suffocating tonight. Now on the drive. There's a chance for the Governors in transition. Open shooter. Johnson comes up short.
It's a good look, though.
This game has picked up pace here quickly. Ooh, nice slip. And one. Balogun. Beautiful find by Day Wilson.
Day Wilson a little bit out of control, but had just enough of it in order to tap that ball over to Balogun. Up and down, up and down. I like the fast break run here by Duke. Head up, looking to where to go with the ball.
The behind-the-back dribble, the no-look pass. There's a lot of plays in horse. You'd win a bunch of letters on your opponent there. Carol Lawson noted pregame, Duke must dominate in transition. That was a big key for the Blue Devils. 26 points off turnover certainly helps. That's a tough drive and a nice finish. Mariah Adams, they call her Snoop. All of a sudden, she's taken over. And when Adams was a 4-year starter at Old Dominion, 2 Conference USA titles for that program. So excellent run. Nice backdoor cut from Balogun.
Yeah, beautiful pick and roll right there run from Duke. I like the different sets they're getting into offensively. Kara Lawson trying some different things out.
And how about the precise passing of DeJesus? Her vision is really sharp.
You know, I think when Kara told us the shooting was going to come, she knew there were other aspects to the game that were there. That's why she got the playing time. It was just a matter of time before it started falling through the bucket for herself.
That's why this Duke team has one of the best assist-making clubs in the ACC. Look at this ball movement. Back to DeJesus. And that'll stay here. It's also the players wanting to pass to the next shooter, the next option. Duke is rolling offensively tonight. Good dime, good bucket, and a good timeout break coming up. Season high 16 points for Elizabeth Balogun. Having a talent scoring.
Yeah, she's running on 7 of 11 shooting, chipped in 6 rebounds, 5 steals as well, defending the inbound on the press for Duke, which has led to a couple of these quick buckets. And she's gotten to the free throw line a few times as well with a couple of free throws in the game.
More importantly, Balogun's totals have matched Austin Peay's for the night. As Ashlyn Jackson hits the free throw, I don't care who you're playing, when you're playing them. When a single offensive scorer can match an opponent, you're doing something right.
Especially when you're looking at it in the second half of a game right now.
It's not Steph Curry in a 5-minute run. It's over the course of 3 quarters. There's a foul on the floor and a lost shoe. And
bodies down
goggles
everywhere. I like it, though, out of a timeout, Austin Peay going to a set piece in their half court of immediately getting into the offense, passing the ball off of a screen, getting into the basket or into the paint and attacking the basket. I know they want to shoot the 3, and that's how this team is built, but with what they've faced against Duke, they've got to get it into the paint and then kick out to the open shooter. They're not going to be able to just dribble and find a way to get themselves open on the perimeter.
Austin Peay's had a different leading scorer in 5 straight games, so it's come by committee. Tonight, 6 points for Glenn. She's the top scorer. And here's an offensive foul. Nicely drawn by Jackson.
Great job staying in front, keeping those hips squared and sliding the feet.
Shakira said the hips don't lie, my friend.
They do not lie.
Get him in the right position, and that leads to good defense. So Duke entered 7th in the country in scoring defense. I know one game doesn't tilt the scale in your favor to number one, but they're playing with the effort and intensity that Kara Lawson must enjoy.
Absolutely. You've got I think they've given everything you can ask for on the defensive side. There's some turnovers that need to be cleaned up, though.
So Nelson the beneficiary, and a nice transition layup.
And if you look at the turnovers, that was their 11th, 12th turnover of the game. How much more of a gap could Duke have right now? And I think that would be the message that Kara Lawson will have for the team when they look at this tape.
Duke averages 15 turnovers a game, and Kara Lawson noted pregame, we need to get that number down to 12 or 11. That's kind of the sweet spot for her program. Ooh, nice effort to save it for Nelson, who may have came up a little tough on that one. She'll be all right. This is Austin Peay's second ever trip to Durham, 2009 in the NCAA tournament. It was an OVC championship, one of 10 conference titles in the program's history. Nice left-handed jumper for Roberson.
Good awareness. Baseline was open, but the big was still down there, so pull up for the floater. If that big comes out, you drop it down low.
How about that pass? Oliver, who has an 8-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, there's a pretty good assist.
Just amazing vision for her out on the court.
Think of Caitlin Clark as Iowa, one of the best scorers and assist makers in the country. Oliver's showing you some signs the last 2 weeks of being really good as a point guard.
She is, and she's a veteran too, and a winner. You know, at Baylor, had a couple of seasons as a freshman with 2.5, 3 as the assist-to-turnover ratio, and helped them make runs deep into the NCAA tournament.
So this Duke passing has been exquisite tonight. Another example.
Good job setting the screen, rolling off of the screen. That's a pass that is live, looks really, really good, and it is, but it's also a design play.
And Lee Volker, who's been a big bench scorer the last 4 games, she'll say, thank you very much, wide open layup. I'll add that to my total.
It's almost like an RPO in football. Oliver's got to know and which way that defense is going and where your options are depending on what they do.
You see those numbers, 17.5 assists a game. Really balanced, moving the ball around. Duke had 20-plus assists on Sunday. They're following that footsteps today. A lot of one-on-one movement for Austin Peay, and the jumper's short. Good rebound, Roberson. Ever since that first quarter, Austin Peay's looked a lot more settled. They trailed 18-0 early. Good job holding her pivot foot, and no good curving.
Yeah, you're right. They have settled into this game, and we talked about it off the top. Coming into a place like Cameron Indoor against a team like Duke, you got to not allow that to be too big of a moment, too big of a game. And I think there was a little bit of that for Austin Peay to start this off.
Curvin looking like a goalkeeper in the World Cup, trying to kick that penalty kick away. So my Croatian national team is playing Brazil tomorrow, and Neymar's back healthy. So I am worried that Croatia's in for a 5-0 defeat, or 5-0 in the soccer world.
I don't know a lot about soccer, not going to lie. I am not analyzing soccer tonight, and we're analyzing basketball. But I do know Neymar, and I know he's good.
And you know Neymar, and we know Oliver is the point guard for Duke. She's been dishing the ball out. Excellent in her last 5 games. Anytime you're at that 8-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, I know Chris Paul 1 year in the NBA had a 10-to-1 ratio. Like, when you're playing at that level, it's certainly fascinating to watch.
It makes you double take when you're looking at the stat sheet and you see such a high ratio. Like, wait, is that right? Did somebody misprint 8-to-1? That's real? But that's how well she takes care of the ball, though.
Tonight, 5 points, 2 assists, so doing her part offensively. A little contested pass here. Bodies everywhere. Let the bodies hit the floor. That's a great EDM song when you're studying for finals. Did you get amped up?
I thought it was supposed to be the other way. You put on the classical while you're studying for a final. Calm your mind down. Remember everything.
I asked Kara Lawson pregame, hey, at Tennessee, what was your hardest final? And she said, honestly, I just got to get through them all. It didn't matter what class it was. I wanted to play for Pat Summitt because if I didn't pass my classes, Pat would get all over me. The legendary head coach.
one of the best to learn from as a player, and I'm sure she's taken a lot of those lessons and now putting it into practice here as the head coach of Duke now in year 3.
Here in year 3, hit the portal this summer. You noted her USA basketball tenure, but she said this team is learning to come together. That trip to Portland, Oregon, a couple weeks ago over Thanksgiving was huge for the development of the team.
And I think you see programs more and more in the offseason, and Duke wasn't able to do this, but in the offseason, take those trips as a team. Don't focus on basketball, but focus on getting to know each other.
There's an AM1 opportunity for Austin Peay.
Good take here from Robertson, and a nice job of recognizing that help side defense coming over and getting the ball out of her hand before it did.
This is the offense Austin Peay's tried to run all night. One-on-one, ISO, and make a play.
And it'll probably work better in conference play. Duke just too big, too athletic.
A top 10 defensive team in Duke right now. DeJesus whips a beautiful pass. Oh my goodness, Richardson the beneficiary.
We've seen her make some really nice passes in tight spots, but to put that one with the touch in stride, wow.
That's Tua Tagovailoa, the lefty, flipping one down the court. Duke living on passing in this game. The all-conference Johnson is blocked. Good hands by Heidi. Taylor in transition. Richardson can't hit. There's Taylor to politely clean it up.
They just beat Austin Peay up court. Had 3 bodies waiting for that offensive rebound.
Good steal. DeJesus poked it. Goes right back to Vaught, the beneficiary. She's the South Alabama transfer. Remember, Duke pitched a shutout in the first quarter tonight. They've only allowed 24, which is hard to fathom in 30 minutes. Open shooter. So Duke has prided itself on sharing the rock and defending its own bucket. Here's a great example of passing the basketball.
DeJesus was huge offensively last time they played. Today, she's been the facilitator.
Duke is rolling through 3 quarters here in Durham. Amazing tonight. First quarter shutout, continuing that nice stretch, and Austin Peay showing some signs of life in the second half.
Your defense is there. You're going to be in every game, and Duke has played phenomenally defensively. The effort has really been from the opening tip all the way up until now there for them. I like how Austin Peay has improved, though. You know, you get shut out in the first quarter, it's real easy to get down on yourself, but they've also kept the energy and the effort up.
Good bucket to start the fourth quarter for Reigan Richardson. Now that pressure becomes a factor. Duke will press for 40 minutes. They'll really challenge you to bring it up the court.
Part of the reason I think you see Kara Lawson playing 11, 12 players early in the season, the conditioning isn't there. So in order to keep that intensity up and play that press, you got to have the bodies.
12 have checked in tonight. 10 have scored. That's tremendous balance. Adams looks for help with the clock at 7. An Austin Peay squad looking forward to Sun play on January 2nd, and a good bank shot for Robertson. Her ability to drive off the dribble has been nice tonight.
Been one of the few players that have been able to, not consistently, but at times find some openings, create some space for herself.
Duke does commit a turnover there, and that's been the one area Kara Lawson's been up in flames about. Her team's had some trouble holding on to the basketball.
Told you wanted to be around 11, 12 for a game. They're at 12 now after that one.
Ooh, nearly a turnover. Nice kick out. Adams gets it right back. This is like Will Ferrell and Flint Tropics. A lot of kick bouncing back and forth, and an offensive foul.
Good recognition by Duke defensively. They saw exactly what Austin Peay was trying to do, trying to get the ball down low on the block. 3 defenders right around, so even though you spin away from the help side, there's a third, and you ran them over.
Things get a whole lot tougher for Kara Lawson's club coming up at Florida Gulf Coast, reigning at second-round tournament team. And then conference play with Virginia. We know to NC State. No light week after finals. Good post position. And a great finish. Taya Coursdale, the Oregon State transfer. Yeah, this schedule ramps up quickly. Louisville although they've had a slow start to the year, still in a top 25 program year in and year out.
Feel like Kara's got to be a little bit happy if she even knows that Virginia is still undefeated. Just because you have that rivalry game with NC State looming, you don't want to overlook anybody. An undefeated team is going to make sure you're focused on them.
That could be not only top 25, but a very good matchup with NC State and Duke. Duke's receiving votes right now. If they beat Virginia, they might be in the top 25 in 2 weeks.
I think they pick up the win today and then beat Florida Gulf Coast. They could find themselves in the top 25, depending on what some of those other teams have done.
Wow, Coruscant's wide open. Another nice find by Taylor.
The ball movement right there from Duke was fantastic. All 5 players touched it around the perimeter, find the player open underneath the basket for the easy layup.
Corsdale got her degree in human development from Oregon State. She's now getting her grad degree here at Duke. One of the many grad transfers for the Blue Devils. Roberson's been tough in the lane. She's fighting for everything down low, laying her body on the line as Taylor zips one out. Boy, a lot of contact and a great finish for Richardson.
Really good body control from Richardson to pull up and not get the charge call.
Now a steal. Taylor's tripped. And this is what Duke can do. That pressure leads to a nice offensive transition.
Defense into offense, but this is the ball movement. Working it around the perimeter, scramble mode defensively for Austin Peay, and they just lose somebody down low, and you can't do that.
So Corsdale's come right in. We've seen the 4 points early, but 121 games of experience. And Carol Austin said, we need that experience off our bench. Come conference play, she's getting some big minutes tonight.
Yeah, it's a player that can spell the starters. If you get somebody who's in foul trouble, somebody who's sick, somebody who gets hurt, you've got a player who's got experience and you've got confidence in to come off the bench.
She was day-to-day the last 2 weeks. Played 7 minutes on Sunday, so easing her way back into the rotation. As this will be Austin Peay basketball.
There's some miscommunication there, I think, on Duke. A couple players running a couple of different inbounds plays and ran into each other under the basket.
Back-to-back games where 12 different Blue Devil players have stepped on the court. Feels like yesterday, but 2 years ago, Duke only had 11 on its roster when Kara first took over.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget she took over and was in a really tough spot because you take over during a global pandemic. How are you going to go build a program and recruit players that you want to play for you when you can't actually recruit?
And the portal didn't exist at that time, so these seniors transferred and sat out a year, and players had to wait their turn. This Duke team is loaded up, 8 seniors, grad or regular seniors. So you bring in these older players, they can now play right away, and it's built the depth of this program.
It's going to change the dynamic for the program, the culture this year as to what it was the first 2 seasons where they were building towards something. I think this year is not the build towards, it's the how much can we accomplish.
7-11 last year in the ACC, so that's the bottom line. If Duke can improve on that, Carol Austin knows this team has tournament aspirations.
I'd be surprised if they finished below 500 in conference play. I think that 500 mark, it's a tough mark to get to because of so much competition, but I think Duke can be there.
Nice lay-in. There's Taylor. She's nearing 1,000 points in her career, 14 away. We have a foul here on Duke. So Celeste Taylor leading this Duke team in scoring. Now, tonight, a little more complimentary, 6 points, but her ability to add that third and fourth, that tertiary piece of scoring is going to be big.
4 assists, a steal, 4 rebounds. She's been involved other ways.
Now this Duke defense that has marveled tonight, holding Austin Peay to 35% shooting. Johnson gets it back with 6. The all-conference guard out of the A-Sun spins. Now that's pretty. Well, it comes up short.
Use the glass there.
Tim Duncan made a career out of that in the post.
Made a Hall of Fame career out of it.
Wake Forest and San Antonio Spurs legend. There's a foul on Johnson. I will say Yamaya Johnson has the tools to be a great player in the A-Sun. It's just a tough matchup, a tough challenge tonight.
You're dealing with better athletes, and then you have the size difference that you have to deal with as well.
Johnson was all ASUN preseason. Right now she's 5th in the conference in scoring. A little difficult time scoring tonight. Duke, meanwhile, not many issues scoring the basketball. Maybe not 100 like we saw on Sunday. Ooh, the bench was daring Corsdale to shoot. So Taylor hits one off the clock. Oddly enough, Duke is 1 of 9 from three-point range. That kind of snuck up on me. It's been a tough night shooting the three.
Especially when we showed you in the beginning of this one, they came off a game where between 2 quarters, they were 9 of 12 from deep. But that's not their game, though. The 9 for 12 is the outlier. I don't know that you're going to see 1 for 7 very often either. That's the top and the bottom for them.
Duke entered this game 26% from deep as Vaught picked the pocket, got the layup. I know Kara Lawson will circle that play in film tomorrow. There's a Hall of Fame banquet tomorrow mid-morning here on campus.
3 different Hall of Famers that they had honored here during halftime.
Including Elena Beard, one of the best players ever at Duke. Maybe the very best. Depends who you ask, as the ball will stay here. We'll take you to our final timeout. Austin Peay hanging tough here in Durham with the steal. It's been all Duke, though, here on ACC Network Extra. Hall of Fame night here in Durham for Duke women's basketball. The team currently on the court has played pretty well, leading by 38. There's 2 of the 3 honorees, Elena Beard and Gail Gostenkors. One a great coach, one a great all-time player here at Duke, being honored tonight here in Durham.
It looks like Gail is still coaching a lot over on the bench over there. Yeah, it's important for programs to bring players from their past and coaches from their past back and honor them like they did here today at halftime, and then they'll do for the breakfast tomorrow. But the other thing that it does, Evan, is it really helps out recruiting-wise. You can go ahead and bring recruits in when you have those legends on campus, and it just makes it that much more special, that much more memorable for them.
As current coach Kara Lawson tries to build this program back to where Gostenkors had it with multiple trips to the Final Four.
Pretty good start with that one right there. I know it's not her first recruiting class, but to go get the number 3 recruit overall in the country and 3 top 10s, that's a good recruiting class for them to come and bring in with an already established roster.
It's a loaded class for the Blue Devils. NC State and North Carolina both in the top 10 in the 23 recruiting, so all 3 of these programs are getting big prospects.
And with the way that Kara has gone to the transfer portal this year, expect there to be more than just those 3 that are new to Duke next season. Who it will be, we don't know. We'll have to find that out after the offseason.
That's a great point. It's always a question with 9 seniors. Who will come back? Who do you get next year? Who can you find in the portal? And
I think that's a question that coaches have to figure out how they're going to go about, because if you're going and you're offering scholarships to freshmen, you find yourself with none available for the transfer portal. But it's also not a guarantee you're going to get somebody from the portal. So how do you distribute where they're going?
Think about Deion Sanders, the pulse and the effect that he's had on Colorado. Kara Lawson has the same thing on the women's basketball tenure. Mm-hmm. She is a standout TV personality, great player, great Olympic coach. Her ability to bring players in and bring that excitement is so big for Duke.
Recognizable name and face that players will seek out and want to play for. And I think that's a big way the transfer portal is starting to evolve. Nobody really knew how it was going to work, but players are reaching out to coaches they want to go play for.
And the sisterhood here at Duke that's being built by Kara Lawson. Of course, it started for decades, and Coach Gostenkors with multiple Final Fours, multiple ACC titles helped build that. Joanne P. McCauley in the middle of it, bridging the gap for these coaches here in Durham.
Every coach is different, though. They got to put their own individual stamp on it.
The current iteration of Duke leads by 40 with 3 minutes to play. Nice pass from Johnson. And Duke gets the board. There's Shea Boland just checking in, the freshman. Little 3-man weave to Jackson, who flips the script.
Transition game offensively for Duke has really come to life here in the second.
Reverse. Cha-cha, real smooth. That's a dance, if you weren't aware, Kyle.
Oh, I figured. you were on key. It was good, the tempo.
Duke continues to harass the basketball. Foul here on Jordan Oliver.
We talk so much about the turnovers that Duke has forced with this pressure defense, 27 in the game so far. But what we haven't talked about is when Austin Peay has gotten shots off, they still haven't really made that many, just 33% for the game.
Now, this is Austin Peay's strength from the free throw line, 78% entering tonight. Unfortunately, they've missed all 4 from the free throw line.
It's mental. Just the game getting into the head, not focusing when you get to the free throw line, not going through your routine.
Smalls hits 1 of 2. And the Governors are 27th in the country in free throws. Green Bay leads all of NCAA women's basketball, but they've been really good entering this night. And you're right, big arena, big opponent. You step up a level, it can be difficult. Jackson, another nice pass. Ooh. Monty Lewis, who just entered the game, the Wisconsin transfer, couldn't hang on to it.
A little bit too much zip there. Maybe try the bounce pass, make it easier for the big to handle.
And how about Kara Lawson going to player 13 and 14? Lewis has 30 career double-doubles, so she's proven she can play at a high level.
It's a good feeling as a coach when you go that deep into your bench and there's that much talent.
Final 2 minutes in the second all-time meeting. Austin Peay and Duke with a traveling violation here for Jada Roberson.
Good thought there to throw the ball fake, try and get yourself that step, but got to get set first. It's always step 1 before step 2.
So we've seen a first tonight. Duke pitching a shutout in a single quarter. Duke has a chance with 28 forced turnovers to almost have as many turnovers forced as points allowed.
I didn't even realize that until you said it, but wow.
That'd be a neat stat. I'm curious when the last time that happened. Balogun can't hit the 3. Okay. This might be turnover 29. Good job escaping for Vaught. And there's the turnover.
Just out of control in the transition game for Austin Peay.
Jackson breaks down the defense, and that's just too easy.
Beautiful touch. To be able to control her body, slow things down, to get that soft touch on it as she's flashing across the lane.
Austin Peay has not hit a basket from the field in 4 minutes.
For as much as they improved in the second and third quarter, there's been a regression here in the fourth. And I think part of it you can attribute to conditioning. They just haven't played anywhere near as many legs as players as Duke has, and those legs get heavy.
Austin Peay only traveled 9 players tonight, so depth is certainly a question mark. Duke, we've seen 14 check in. A lot have scored. Balogun tried to add to the totals. And a loose ball here. It'll be Austin Peay possession. Duke gears up for Florida Gulf Coast, who's receiving national votes on Sunday. Austin Peay gets ready for Murray State. A couple of final non-conference tilts before ACC and ASUN play begin in a couple of weeks. Roberson attacks. Good look, though. She just couldn't hit. And now Duke in transition. Oh, boy. Kara Lawson will not like that. Duke with its 17th turnover.
Get the players on the bench to put the blue warm-ups on, because I think she thought one of them were out on the floor. That pass was 5-6 feet out in front of her teammate.
Outside of turnovers for Duke, a clean night for Kara Lawson's club.
Outside of turnovers, I think it's going to be hard for her to find too much to complain about to this team. They played a phenomenal game. Great effort from the opening tip to the last buzzer.
Duke moves to 9-1 with the victory. A shutout in the first quarter for Kara Lawson's defense, and the offense was pretty balanced. 10 different players on the scorecard. For Kyle Straub and our tremendous crew here in Durham, I'm Evan Budrovich. Thank you for joining us. This is a presentation of ESPN2.